Tony Tukumbo Fernandez Show is all about promoting the true life and success stories of African and Caribbean achievers around the world. If there's a product or initiative you wish to share, feel free to give us a call. The number is 0788 280 9005. A very warm welcome to all our listeners around the world. You're welcome to the Tony Tukumbo Fernandez Show, promoting the true life and success stories of African and Caribbean achievers around the world. So if there's a product or initiative you wish to share, feel free to give us a call. The number is 0788 280 9005. That number once again is 0788 280 9005. Or visit our website at www.tonyfernandez.co.uk. We have so many amazing initiatives lined up this year, and I'm happy to say that this year we're also back organizing the Black History Month celebrations at the UK House of Parliament this October. So watch this space for all the updates on that. But this week we're moving on to Lagos, Nigeria, to speak to a published author, also a historian, a qualified architect, and also the founder of Teambooktu initiative in Lagos, Nigeria. So he's been doing some amazing work for quite a while, and he's here to talk about his initiative. So pleasure once again to have back on the show, Claude Opara. Welcome to the Tony Tukumbo Fernandez Show again. How are you feeling today?
Fine, thanks, Tony. Quite good. I'm glad to be here once again. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. And for the benefit of all our listeners around the world who don't know much about yourself, can you just tell us a bit about yourself, your background, and
okay. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for inviting me. Timbuktu has been it's a website basically for the creative arts. We know that there are a lot of us that have interest in the creative arts and various aspects, either with the visual, the performing, the literary arts, and all that. So it's a brainchild of a friend of mine and myself. We were discussing one day. We have our own interests in the arts in various areas, practically every area of the 9 arts. And we looked around and we noticed that we have a lot of friends also that are interested in this. Some of them it's not their day job, but they are very good in one aspect or the other and just need to be celebrated. And also, we also have professionals that are also in this area that also need to be celebrated, and their works are quite good. And we realized that in terms of Africa, there's not much of a chance out there for visibility. So we decided that we'd come up with a site where we'd celebrate African, Pan-African, and diasporan artists, either a writer or a photographer or any area of art that you're into. And we would celebrate you in terms of your works and also let people know what you do. And since they're lovers of art, we realize that everybody out there has one area of art that they're interested in. Either you're interested in film or music or writing. There definitely is some form of relaxation that you enjoy from a piece of art. So if we give you a website, we call it the Webcitadel because it's like Timbuktu of old, where all knowledge was within the city of Timbuktu and celebrated Africa. So we decided to come up with our own, where we would celebrate African artists and allow everybody to get involved in reading and going through their works and enjoying it just like we enjoyed going through them ourselves.
I mean, before we dig deeply into the kind of possibly long-term vision and the actual purpose and vision behind Timbuktu itself, can you just tell the listeners a bit more about yourself as a person and what really inspired you to set up this initiative?
Okay. Currently, I'm an architect by profession, but I also have various areas that I have peculiar interests in. I'm an artist as well as a writer, and I have keen interest in the arts throughout my life. I've ventured in practically every aspect of the arts, with the exception of maybe sculpture. But basically, I have interest in basically all forms. So when we got to this stage, my friend and I, who is a chemical engineer, but also the president or the chairperson of the Association of Nigerian Authors Lagos State chapter, he's been involved in the literary works for as long as I've known him. I've known him for probably 23 years. So he's been interested in poetry, interested in writing and all that. So we once in a while have talk just to as a form of relaxation, talk about the arts. And like I said, so my area, because of the areas that I have various interests in, I find it sometimes a bit difficult engaging with people in those various areas. I have delved in the 9 arts, that is comics. I've delved in writing. I've delved in painting. I've delved in. So you find out that there are various people. Certain people are not interested in this discussion. Certain people are interested in this discussion, and so it prompted us to think of a site, just like I said, where everybody has a choice. You don't have to read everything, but there's definitely some area of art that you find yourself interested in. So I guess my background and Ifeanyi's background, that's my partner, Ifeanyichukwu Avajah, our backgrounds made us realize that there's a lot of people like us out there that have various interests and needs to get it out there, especially from the African and Diasporan context.
Talking about the African and the African Diasporan context itself, how important would you say content is today in promoting our narratives as Africans, especially as we're living through a very changing world at the moment?
Very, very important. I think that's one of the main reasons why we had this. Like I said, we looked out there and we saw that the narrative was being pushed by let's say the West. There's nothing wrong with pushing your own narrative, but it's good also that others have a chance to also push out their own narrative. And we come to realize that a lot of people from Africa and diaspora have also started losing their roots or don't have much pride in their culture. And there's a lot of things, negative things coming out from Africa that sometimes you want to dissociate yourself from it. But there are a lot of good things out there as well. And that's why we chose that name Timbuktu, because Timbuktu is one of the historical prides of Africa, where the West actually came to study and learn. It's not something we see much now. And we realized that just to digress, you see even take for example, in the movies, you see a character that is well known, probably like, let's just say, take for example, James Bond. And there's a clamor for an African to act, or a Black person to act James Bond. And I'm like, wait, hold on. Right? That's a creation that has been made that's spanned the test of time. And it's a particular race. There's nothing wrong with someone else acting him, but why can't we come up with our own? Why can't we do something that we're proud of and bring it out there and let it become as well known? We had Shaft, but Shaft died. Nobody picked up on Shaft. He tried 1 or 2 movies. There was no support. But I believe in us building our own, let the world know what we do. It's not particularly restrictive to Timbuktu is not particularly restrictive to Africa alone. It also talks about international, but from the African context, from the African contribution, from the Pan-African. It's not mutually exclusive as well, but that's the main focus. So if we push that narrative out there, it's like a sponge. A lot of people are looking for new content, even thanks to independent producers and companies, streaming sites like Netflix and Prime Video that encourages new content. There's a lot of people interested in new content from Africa, You can see how Black Panther worked out. So there's a lot of interest. The Woman King, there's a lot of interest in Africa. So this is the time for us. Even in our music industry, you can see how it's going. So we need to take that initiative and push it forward. That's why we're inviting all artists from across the African diaspora to key into Timbuktu. And let's see how, as a union, as a family, we can move the continent forward.
Talking about getting people involved, artists, writers, to get more involved in this profound initiative, we also have the website below the screen too, for our listeners to log in and check it out, and also get in contact with you. But can you just give us a bit of a flavor about some of the team members and contributors involved so far?
Yes, we've got a lot of interesting contributors. We're trying to make it as Pan-African, and it's becoming so. That's what is the pride. We have some contributions from the US. We're trying to get we've got some contributions from the UK. We've also gotten contributions from the from East Africa. We're trying to get we have some contributions from South Africa generally. So we're getting a lot of feedback. And one of the things that we also like to do is get people from, the Caribbean, exactly. That's the area we're also trying to push, the Caribbean section of the diaspora as well. So we've Paul Bruins is a good example. He's a South African photographer that we've also used, and he's out there, and he's done a lot of good jobs. He's sent in his photography, and I think everybody should check it out. He's brilliant in panoramic photography. We're also trying to get in other cartoonists from all across Africa. We've gotten poems from East Africa, brilliant poems that are still coming out, Swahili poems. So we're trying to create a family, and I think we're being successful in that aspect.
And let's talk about the long-term vision for Timbuktu. I mean, where do you see this going in years to come?
Okay, yes. Our hope and our dream is that Timbuktu will become such a strong representative of the country, strong of the continent, sorry, and the African community, so that it become a household name, and it will not be restricted to only Africans per se. It will not be restricted to just the Black community. It will be accepted internationally and recognized globally as a voice for the African society, for the Pan-African society. So it creates that unity that we want. We're trying to kick out racism, and I believe a lot of racist ideas come from ignorance and lack of trust. And when there's ignorance and lack of appreciation of someone's history and background, there's a lot of tension and a lot of mutual distrust. But by the time you put out your narrative out there, people get to know you, people get to appreciate you. I keep referring to the music industry, where you see the feedback, you realize that music is universal. Same thing as writing, same thing as literature, same thing as all forms of art is universal. We like Mozart, we like Raphael, we like Leonardo da Vinci, we like all the classics, and we're here in Africa. So we believe it's a mutual thing. And the reason why it's not really that mutual now is because the knowledge gap between what we have here, the so-called dark continent, is still out there, and it's our duty to push it out. So the dream is that it will get there and it will be recognized and respected for what it is, a voice for the African and Diasporan society.
I mean, looking back in recent years, probably the last 10 to 15 years, what are the artistic achievements you feel most proud of?
Artistic achievements. Are you talking personally or generally in terms of
either way,
the community? Okay. Artistic achievement. It's a broad one. It's a really broad one, Tony. Personally, I'd say I'm still trying to get to the pinnacle in terms of the artistic contributions I would like to I've done my own a bit. I've written some novels, and also I have an African Legends series where I'm celebrating African legends. And Timbuktu is also one of it's actually the brain. I feel quite proud of it, and I hope I will get the support of writers and artists out there to bring it out. So in terms of artistic achievements, I think we're still looking out for that pinnacle that would say, yes, we've gotten there. And we believe that with Timbuktu, we would achieve it.
Okay, so I wanted you to take a few minutes now to speak to all our listeners around the world, especially the artists, African artists, writers, visual people, and talk to them.
Okay.
And tell them why it's important for them to get involved with Timbuktu and how they can contact you.
Okay, thanks. I would like to, as a fellow artist, I understand the challenges of, it's like having a voice, but not being able to get out there. Sometimes you put out your stuff and it doesn't really get the attention you expect it to have. Sometimes you think it has to do with the what I call the system. We will say the system doesn't favor us, or the lack of interest in a certain aspect of society. We think maybe that's probably what is preventing us being the next Hollywood or the next best thing in music or the next best thing in literature. I would say charity begins at home. I use the music industry, for example. When it comes to the music industry, we have people like Davido, Burna Boy, we have great musicians from South Africa, the late Lucky D-Boy and all that. But I realized that how they got to where they are now had to do with support from home. When they got their attention, when they saw a critical mass of people, and we have the critical mass supporting a style, the world tends to listen and turns and says, what's this guy? What does he have, or what does she have that is bringing this large fan base? So we believe that all the artists that have been struggling to get out there, not just the ones struggling to get out, those that have already achieved it, because in Timbuktu we have renowned artists, renowned writers, renowned poets. We put them out there to encourage and also to challenge the upcoming ones as well, to see what is available. So if you're a writer, we have a section called short stories. You can submit your short stories and get feedback. And if you're a poet, it's called the Griot Speaks section. We have the visual arts section. You do your cartoons, you do your paintings, whatever. If you're a film critic, just by all means, send us your reviews of movies, African movies, some foreign movies as well. So we have areas and we would like to get your support. If it's good, we'll put it up there because we want to put the best up there so that the world can look and find out that, hey, this is what is coming out from the Black community. And if we support that, we're also asking for readership and support, because many people that would send in, it's relatively a new site, started like in June. So most people that make submissions, we really like to have feedback. And when the feedback comes in, they're encouraged. And others that are a bit shy and still thinking about it, by the time they see the feedback and the critique of their work, will be challenged to put out there. So we need the support of leadership as well as support of artists to get involved and to give us the best contribution and the best works, so as we can showcase this to the world and bring attention to Africa. So we accept every single work. We'll go through every single work. Doesn't mean, like he said, it doesn't mean we'll showcase every single work. But if your work is good enough and is presentable as some of the best works that you have available and the world Africa can present, would by all means print it and want to create a community around the arts. And that's why we call it the Webcitadel. It's like the Citadel of Timbuktu, but it's web-based. So we call it the Webcitadel, where everybody comes in like a family submit their works, contribute, critique, and create the art form called Timbuktu.
Okay, so on a final note, how can people reach you to get more involved in promoting their content?
Yes, you can reach us by you can send your articles, your submissions, your contributions to info@teambooktu.com. You can also follow us on our social media pages. That's Twitter, our Twitter handle, and Instagram page. Our Instagram page is team_booktu, BOOKTU, and our Twitter handle is @the THE_Webcitadel, Web WEB Citadel CITADL. Or you can also check out the Timbuktu. You'd also get it. You would find us there.
Okay, and on a very final note, what message you have for Africans and Caribbeans around the world today, even though we're all one people?
We're all people, and we want everyone to be proud of their culture. Never lose your culture. Even though you're part of the global community, which we're supposed to be, we're all meant to be. It's a freeze. It's what I call a lattice of cultures, and the beauty of the world is the cultures that we have scattered across the whole world. So if we all blend into one culture, it will lose color, it will lose flavor. So the culture we have, we should try and imbibe it, be bold, and so that everyone will see and appreciate Africans and Caribbeans and every member of the Black community for who they are and for what they stand for in terms of culture and representation.
And keep up the amazing work you're doing at the moment. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
And
Thank you,
I'll catch
Tony.
up with you when next time in Lagos. Keep shining.
That's fine. We're expecting we'll bring out the palm wine and stuff for you when you come in.
Definitely, for sure. I'll be there soon.
Okay.
God bless you.
All right. Take care.